Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our show, positiveradio.com. Ian, kindly unmute Ian, my special guest in the house. How
Oh,
are you?
sorry.
How are you, Ian?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I'm just gonna introduce myself and, of course, you officially.
Okay.
All right, our radio show is positiveradio.com at 106.9 FM. Okay. And today I have the great privilege, my co host, who is an educator for almost 20 years or more, Ian.
Yeah.
Good, good. And our topic is the challenges you guys face in the classroom, of course, and also virtual within this pandemic. I know most of your time was spent virtual, on,
hmm
online teaching. Okay. Is that correct?
hmm
All right. So first time, let's start with a little few verses of prayer. I could go ahead. Say, God, please help us to make peace with yesterday and help us to have an open mind and open heart today. Let us be a blessing to the audience. Help us to see good around us, good in others, and good in ourselves. Fill us with happy thoughts and a thankful heart. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So, just to reiterate, our topic for today is the challenges the teachers and also the students face during the pandemic with learning and teaching virtually. Okay. So, Ian,
hmm
I know we know each other a while.
yeah.
All right. So, we're no strangers. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Can you hear me properly?
I'm hearing you. Yes, I'm hearing you well.
Okay. Good, good. So, being that it's a challenge. We know it's a challenge for both you, the educator, and the students. We're going to touch on some topics that most people would not know that's going on with you, with the educators, also the students. The challenges, of course, right? And the children, how motivated and dismotivated they are along the way, and everything in between. Is there
Mhm.
anything you want to start with at this time?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ian, and I've been teaching for I think 20 years going on now.
Okay.
When you think of the number of years, you start to look at yourself and say, "We I'm getting pretty old."
I know. I still have the picture with your brother taking you to school. I'm like, this little thing here.
Yeah,
Yes.
time flies. Yes.
Yes.
And I'll always tell everyone that teaching is one of the greatest jobs. I oftentimes ask why I still continue in it, but I don't know. I guess it's the love that I have for it.
Yes. You have a deep passion for it.
Yeah.
I know. I know where you started.
And what, my greatest joy is to see my students succeed at the end because I always tell the parents that
Amen.
always tell the parents that in like when you have that first conference, I would tell them that in every person there's 85% that is solidly good, and the remaining percentage we're going to work on that. And
Yeah.
so never you write off a person's child, but you try to bring that child to its full potential, even though
Yes.
at times it can be very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And my reward is not even so much the salary because they you laugh at that sometimes, but is when you see your students succeed, and you have a child that struggled immensely from beginning, and then the child managed to move up, graduate, and you haven't seen them again in years. And then
Yes.
suddenly you see a student. I can recall, because my early teaching was in Jamaica, and I remember I was in the airport a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and this person was chasing through the airport and calling at me, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And they said,
Mhm.
"Don't you remember me? Don't you remember me?" And this was
Yeah.
a person I taught in the seventh grade. That was years ago. She's a
Whoa.
grown woman now. And
Whoa.
then a couple just before the pandemic, I was in a supermarket and I saw another student who was a lot of challenge when I had him. And he called me out and he said, "This man is the person who made me into the man that I am today." So those are
Thank God. Yes.
rewarding stories. And
Yes.
um, not to depress you on a Friday evening, but one of my greatest challenge before the pandemic was a student of mine who actually, when I was young in teaching, very young, just started. Actually, when I started teaching, my first teaching job, I was 21 years of age.
I
And,
remember.
yeah. And then
I remember.
that
I
time,
said, pray for you, Lord. Pray for.
yeah, I was full of zeal, but yet lack experience.
Yeah.
And I remember a student of mine, a young man who had a lot of challenges growing up. And
What school was that again? What school was that in
in Harborview, in
Right, right. Where
yeah,
we used to live at. I don't remember the
hmm
name. You can
Donald
be
Quarry,
more.
Donald Quarry.
Number Court. Okay, okay.
Yeah, he had a lot of challenges, and he used to, he wasn't one of the. I don't want to use any negative terms. He wasn't one of the students who conform to rules and regulation. And one of
Yeah.
my suggestions to the principal was to make him a student leader. And he
Oh.
said to me, um, "Your this young man's blood is going to be on your shoulder because you're crazy to attempt to do that." And I said, "Listen, we're going to work with him." In the beginning, it was shaking, like, did I make a right choice right here? What am I doing? But eventually, he turned around and he was able to get the student. He was able to whip the students into shape. He took the
Wow.
students out of the hallway. He took them off the corridors and got them into the classroom. Even though he had his learning challenges, but he was able to commandeer all the students and to get them to go to class. And
Yes.
things started to turn around, and people were like, "Wow, is this for real?"
Right. See.
Then, as I said, he had, home problems. And I remember one day he said to me, I will make up a name. Say his name was Mark, and he said, "Sir, I'm not gonna live to see age 18." And I'm like, "Oh, come
Wow.
on, you're crazy. Don't talk like that." And that was years ago. That was like 18 years ago, 18, 17, those years ago. And I just took it lightly. And I remember I didn't see him in school for a couple of days. And then I remembered I was called to the principal's office. And when I went in, and they gave me a note. And when I saw the note, I knew it was him because I knew his handwriting.
Oh,
And I knew
Jesus.
I knew the spelling, so I knew this was Mark.
Yeah.
And it said, "Sir, if anything happens to me, I want you to come and look for me before I die."
Oh,
I'm like,
Jesus.
"What?" And then I was told that he had taken a deadly poison
Oh.
and he was in the hospital, yes. And when I went to visit him, he died within a couple of days. Because when I went to look for him, his face
Wow.
lit up. And trust me, that thing sent me in a period of depression for a while because
Yeah.
I kept
Understood.
saying this kid was
Mhm.
reaching out to me, but I never
Yeah. You
understood
did. Yeah. You
the
didn't
guy. Yeah.
see.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
And it impacted me so much in a negative way that I eventually had to resign from that school. It
Wow.
really bothered me because the person was reaching out to me and kept saying, "I'm not going to live to see certain age." And there were signs of a troubled kid.
Wow.
but without the experience
Yeah.
and not knowing how to deal with it at the time,
Yeah.
that really affected me. But as years went by, as soon as I see one of these signs, you know, even if I can't say personally address it, I refer to the relevant authorities, to
Yeah.
the guidance counselor, or we speak to the parents and so on. But to say this, that it's a profession that I think over the years is losing its value because people more see
Yes.
it for them. We all need money to live, but people see it
Yes,
more
but
for the money.
yes.
But,
Because yeah,
but yeah, because we're dealing with human being here, and our job is to make them into better human being,
exactly.
and it's our job to take them to the bridge, and even sometimes to hold their hands and take them across the bridge.
Amen.
But
Amen.
when I came to this country here now, teaching is somewhat different, whole different,
Oh,
whole game.
oh yeah.
uh,
It,
I mean, you are told some words sometimes that the comments that are made, the attitude towards the teacher. But after a while, after you would have established yourself
yeah.
and you know what you're about, then after a while things will change because you, even though the teachers demand respect, but you have to show respect and
Exactly.
you have to
Yep. It's a
understand
two-way street.
a
Yeah.
two-way stream. And
Exactly.
what I often tell folks who are from, say, from another country that's teaching in the United States, first you have to learn to understand the culture
The
of the
culture. Yes.
um for
Yes.
us who are coming from the Caribbean and having a British background,
Yeah.
certain things we consider as rude and being disrespectful. In this culture, it is the norm. A kid will
Hmm.
tell you that, "Oh, your breath is stink." When
Hmm.
you're growing up, you dare not say that to an adult. You
And you
know,
just gotta like, oh, all right.
yeah, and then it's not to be rude. Some can be rude, but it's not to be rude or to be disrespectful. It's the culture. They
Yeah.
are more the personable type. They will argue. They will talk more. They will be more engaging, and have you.
Yes.
Tell me if I'm going too much, you know.
No, go ahead,
Oh,
darling. Go ahead.
yes. So
The
they
15
will.
minutes mark, we, stop and give my little
Yes.
interlude. Yes.
Okay. I can go on verbal diarrhea sometimes.
I know, I know. And let me tell everybody, you're also a junior pastor, are you? Eh?
Yes. Somewhat. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. So we know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. All right,
So,
go ahead. All right.
yeah. So I think most of the times the intention is not to be rude or disrespectful. It's understanding the culture, and
Yeah.
then you try to reach them on their level, but still maintaining the concept that you are the teacher, not the student. But you have
Exactly.
to find a way to reach them, and
Exactly.
sometimes you have to try and listen to some of the music that they're listening to, even
Uh
though
huh.
it sounds crazy, but you have to listen.
Yes. Say
I-
that. Say that. Stick of it. When I remember when I was working with the railroad, the Long Island
mhm,
Railroad, me coming from understand our background, all I used to listen to, coming music, right?
mhm,
Oh, all this soul music, this 60s and 70s music. That's all I listen to, even when I'm working. 'Cause that's
mhm,
what motivates me and everything. But oh dear Jesus, to have this guy here, he would blast the stereo, pure heavy metal.
yeah,
And you know what? I could never dare tell him. Let me see, I'm a junior person. I could never dare tell him to turn it or change the channel to what I want. So all I had to do just fit in. And I
mhm,
mean, it's like a few weeks after, I'm bipping and bopping to the heavy metal too.
mhm, yeah.
Exactly.
and and
So
you have to be creative
yes,
in a way to understand the culture.
right.
So, for example, when I was doing preparing kids for the Regents exam, the 12th graders, try to get into their minds and to see how they think. I
Mhm.
oftentimes would give them writing projects, and I would give them projects on, fads and fashion,
Right.
to understand how they dress, what the dress code is like, because to them we are like dressing in the Elizabethanian era. So you have to try to figure out the dress code, and I would tell, when they do their research, they'll find out that all the fashions that they have, the hairstyle and so on, they all came out of rebellions.
Yeah.
So when you give them the assignment, one of the ones that really had me going was I gave them an assignment on the genesis of hip hop music.
Oh,
And
okay.
so each child had to do a research on a given pop star. And I looked for some of the more popular names among their group. So you would listen to them how they talk. And I
Yes.
gave, like on Pop Smoke and Nicki Minaj and all of these people that they are
P
into.
Diddy and
What P did is old school.
Mary J.
No,
Blige.
no, no, no. Those are old school.
Oh, okay. We're talking
Those
about
are
this.
old school.
Oh,
You're looking you're looking at the ones that, like the baby and all these weird names. And
oh,
so
okay.
when they did the project on them now and they would make the presentation in class, I am there learning, but you have to pretend as if you know all of this that they're talking about.
Mm.
And even with the text language, you would give them an assignment on the text language to translate it into
Oh, Jesus.
into proper English.
Oh, yeah.
And trust me, these kids are very creative.
Oh,
They
mhm.
are brilliant kids. It's just that the energy they have, it needs to be harnessed and to be transferred into things positive.
Positive.
And
This
from
for
that, I
sure.
learned so much from these kids. So
Yeah.
in relating to them, I can understand where
Yes.
they are coming from.
Yeah. So you use reverse psychology on them.
Mm-hmm.
Smart, smart. Yes,
Yeah.
to get into their culture, to learn their culture, you give
Mm-hmm.
them the assignment so
Ex-
as so that
mhm.
you could learn more about their culture, ain't it?
Hmm.
Right?
And also to make the learning more, student friendly, give them something that they want to do. Because most kids don't want to read or to write, but when they are investigating their favorite pop star or
Right.
they're into fashion,
Yeah.
so you would have them writing about all these, do a research on the different fashions that you have. You have Nike, you have the brand names. You have them to do research on these things, and they'll
Yeah.
come back surprising. Wow, you have them to do research on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and from that you learn that two teenagers or three teenagers would be in a room and they are communicating with each other using their cell phone, even
Yeah.
though they're in the same room. They're sitting beside each other and
Right. Yes.
they're at the movies and they're texting each other about the same movie they're watching.
Oh.
That's the generation. So you have to get into their minds to figure out how they are operating. But trust me, they can be very, very slick. So if you are not smart, they'll outfox you.
Yes.
So
True.
you have to study them and try to be ahead of their game. And
Right.
then this will take us, tell me if I'm going too fast, and this will take us into the challenges of teaching remotely.
Remotely. Yes. Gotcha.
And
Yeah. Right. Hold it.
for
Hold the thought,
me,
Ian. Hold your
uh,
thought. Hold your thought. Let me just let the listening audience know where we coming in from,
mhm,
which is the positiveradio.com, 106.9 FM with Auntie Donna Concolor. Okay. Go ahead, Ian. We have today with us our teacher for many years, Ian. Go
uh,
ahead. As we're
okay,
talking about the challenge of remote teaching, both
okay,
you and the students. No, I want to hear some good things.
okay. And
Well, TJ. Oh, you know what? I left a person out. Right, I left somebody out. The students, the teacher, the parents. I left the parents out. Right.
mhm, mhm.
So, give me some stories that go on. First of all, let's take the parents out of the way.
Okay.
Okay, because we know they were part of the remote
Hmm.
teaching, right? So give me some stories, some crazy stories. Like, go on with the parents.
Okay. All right. Now, with COVID-19, COVID-19 came with a lot of challenges. It came with
Oh
a
yes,
lot of it brought out the best in us. It
yes.
brought out the good in us. It caused us to learn and to manipulate technology more.
Oh yes.
Um, I remember, I'm gonna get to it, but I remember my first course in computer was with you. You were the person who taught me
Yes,
the
I
first
am the
steps
one
in
who
computer.
taught you.
You set up my first email
Your
account
first, yes, I remember that.
on it was Hotmail.
Yes, a Hotmail. You still have the Hotmail email? You
I
still
don't
have?
remember the password.
You could retrieve
and,
it. You could have asked me how to
and
retrieve it.
and back in the days when we had AOL and you said
AOL.
you got mail, you
Yes,
remember that? Okay.
yes, I do.
So, you were my first tutor in that area. But as we progressed over the years, we thought that teaching would always be in person. You could never use machines to replace a teacher. But with
Hmm.
COVID-19,
Oh
we had
yeah,
to learn very fast and
don't
find
we?
ingenious
Haven't
ways
we? Oh
of
yeah,
of teaching. For me, in the beginning, it was very challenging to learn all these new platforms and I had to learn them fast
yeah.
because
Mm.
that was the way we had to teach for 2 years. But for me, I had four personal challenges. Technology was
Yeah,
one of them. Two, time management.
yeah.
Three, I had to deal with communication via the internet. And four,
Mm.
engaging with students. But I will
Mm.
get to those later on. But you had asked me about,
Yes,
stories with
stop,
parents.
stop with the parents.
Now, with remote learning, we had some in the early days, man, we had some challenging, some exciting experiences
Some
because
off the chain
the child would
challenges.
be, parents would be, walking about in the background. Some just come out of the bathroom,
Oh
not
Jesus,
realizing that the
they
camera is
they on
on,
camera.
and your body's like, who is that? And
Oh
people want to cover
Jesus.
themselves with a towel and dash,
Ah,
or
my God.
somebody might be passing with a cup of tea, or
Hmm.
a little child in the background doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And the mother would be in the background telling the child, "Oh, come on, why your camera's on? The camera's on." They are yelling at the
Okay.
kid, and the kid is like, "Oh my, you're embarrassing me.
Oh Lord.
What's this going on?"
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is suddenly gets dark. 1 minute. Yeah, and the kid would be like, "Ma, you're embarrassing me,"
Oh
and so in the house, after a while, the parent because the parents were home in the
yes.
beginning of the pandemic,
They
so
ain't got nowhere to go.
they had
Everybody's
nowhere to
locked
go,
down. Yeah.
and parents would be cooking, and they come out with a spoon,
All right.
and somebody taste something off the spoon,
Oh Jesus.
or they look in the pot, somebody somebody might be scratching here or
Oh,
there, or someplace
Jesus.
that not
Hmm.
appropriate for here.
Yeah.
And
Tell
all that
tell
stuff.
tell
So
tell me
you see
about
a
the
lot
one.
of stuff going on in the background. So
Yeah.
after a while, I think with the DOE,
Hmm.
children were asked not to put their cameras on
Oh.
because uh, some were in shelters
Yeah.
and some were in different places, so they felt embarrassed about it. So
Oh
after a while,
jeez.
they changed that.
Mm.
And then now with the kids, they, as I tell you, they're very smart. You are given a test and you said, okay, share your screen.
Mm.
And when they shared your screen, you'd see the mouse going all over. They are on different websites. So I
Oh
remember on one
Jesus.
occasion, I said to a kid, but that's cheating. He said, no, sir, I'm
Yeah.
researching.
Research. Oh, all right.
He said, I'm researching. And you would give a test. Now, how can you really say this is the child's work? based
Yeah.
on the fact that you know how the child perform.
Mm-hmm.
But if the child does a test and you don't have physical eyes to see what the child is doing, and the
Yeah.
child gets 100,
Hmm.
now you can't tell the child that he didn't get 100. So
Hmm.
then it would be you'd have to find different ways to evaluate that child,
Yeah.
because Alexa is there for them to ask Alexa
And Siri.
and Siri. Because I remember I was I, I was doing a particular assignment once, and a kid said to me, "Sir, could you speak slowly?"
Oh, all right.
But every time, like when you're on the train, you hear that sound like the automated thing on the train.
Yes.
Where are you? Are you near to a train station? I was like, no. So when
The
I
the
listened
the,
carefully,
the announcement. Yes.
the person had some device near to the computer. So whatever I said, the thing
Oh.
was answering, giving the answer.
Oh Lord.
So
You see how smart they are?
yeah, so they can do all these different things to with remote learning. So the teacher
Yeah.
now, you'll have to learn fast and to figure out ways
To
to
counteract that. Yeah.
counteract them,
Oh
because you
Jesus.
can't tell them that's not their 100. And
Uh-oh.
so the kid who was going from website to website, he said he was doing a research, but he was actually on a teacher's website,
Oh.
just copying and pasting and copying and pasting.
Oh Jesus. Wow.
So that is research that he was doing. So that was, in the beginning, the technology that we had at the time. And then you had some people who, in their homes, say two or three kids were using the internet at the same
The
time.
same time,
They
yes. And
couldn't
the
flow.
bandwidth wasn't good. Yeah.
It wasn't good. So you found, so that the internet was giving problems. The, the device that they were using, sometimes they couldn't share information. Sometimes they were using their cell phones. So if they're on the cell phones and say they go to Google Class, their
Um,
pictures would have to come down and all of that. So you had in the technology aspect of it. But as time progressed, say the first semester, the second semester, as time progressed, it it improved. And to me, I really like it now. I really, I would trade it for in-person remote learning. Okay, and then time management was another thing
yes.
for both the teachers and students. Whereas, um, how do you transition from one class to another?
Yes.
Normally, in the regular setting, the kids would walk from one class to another.
Yeah.
Now it's like a 5 minute switch from one class to another, from one room to another, as we call it, from
Right.
one room
Right.
to another.
Yeah.
And so they're in their houses, but get back, they're not going to school, they're not getting up to get a bath to wash their face and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
jeez.
they're in their beds,
Yeah.
and you have to fight with them to get out of the bed. Oh, it's class time now, and you have to fight with people to pull the blankets off their head. I
Mm,
know colleagues of mine who would teach younger kids, the mothers will still be feeding them in the morning.
jeez.
So, and kids are crying and they're having their cereal and they don't want to come on, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if they were to get up regular, get a bath, have their breakfast, get on the bus, or their parents drop them at school, be a total different thing other than
Sure.
just to sit in the same environment. So the time management was an issue that, eventually after time that was
Yeah.
worked out. And then communication was also another issue. How do we how do we communicate with our students?
Yeah.
You have 24 kids in the class and the screen is split into 24
Wow.
faces. And this one is looking around, this one is pulling, this one is doing that, and somebody giving trouble. I remember I saw this video. A little kid said to the teacher, "What are you gonna do? Put me in the back of the room?" And it's remote learning.
And where the back of the room would be? The bedroom or the
Yeah, are you gonna put me in
bathroom
the back
or
of
the
the room, or,
kitchen?
are you gonna
Oh,
send me to the principal's office?
uh-oh. Where would that be?
Huh?
Where would that be in the
Yeah.
in the
Or
parents'
the
house?
older ones, the older ones in the beginning, they would take, if you're not careful, they could take over your screen.
Yes, because
Take it over.
to say that, to say this, they pay attention to what they want to pay attention to, and they get good at what they want to get good at, because
Mhm.
some of them are little hackers.
Yes,
You will
yeah.
know they will take over your screen,
There are
right?
times when I remember in the early days, students will just take over your screen and you just see all sorts of things start to write on it, and you have to
Yeah,
just quickly get to the administrators for them to lock it down, and it will take a while for them to find out who is doing it. And
yeah.
another strategy that they would come with is when they're to log in, you have to log in by audio and the camera.
Oh,
So
oh,
what
right.
they do the camera, but they don't do the
The
audio. So it
audio.
keeps saying
Oh, huh.
um, logging or something like that. And they will keep that for a while because they are the ones just to go by to click on the audio, but they refuse to do that. So it would seem as if they're
Oh,
having internet problems. But just a trick, it's a trick
okay.
they try to pull on you. And that could go back to the, you could tie that in with technology and also with communication.
Hmm.
And then the last one, well, many challenges, but one of the stronger ones for me was engaging the student.
Yes.
Um, having a
You touching all the topics that I have here. I don't have to ask you about that. All the questions. You're touching
and,
everything. Good job. Good job.
and
Go ahead.
engaging the students in the
Yeah.
regular setting. A child would be in the classroom. The teacher would be engaging. You're seeing them physically. Say that it might be a lesson that they're reading from reading some form of literature. They are responding to you, but to have a kid sit in front of a screen for six and a half hours per day
Yeah. Yeah. That's
in a chair, one place, can be a
yeah.
problem because in the regular
Yeah.
school they would get up, they would move around, they would
Mhm.
they would do things, but they have to sit, say for the 45 minutes, just to sit
Yeah.
before a computer, and you're sharing your screen. So this was new for them. This was new for us, and
Yeah.
to keep them engaged, and you have to be monitoring 24 different little slides on your computer
Screens.
to
Yeah.
make
Wow.
sure that you're seeing what this person is doing because the same time you're teaching, remember, the parents are at home and they might be saying, wait, this teacher is not responsible because my child is there tearing down the place and you're not seeing the child. So
Yeah.
it was very challenging to engage the student in the beginning, but then after we learn how to share a screen, a child that might be not participating or doing something, you say, okay, Mary or Jane, could you share your screen? I want you to explain this. And so, after a
Ah,
while, that became a tool to get them, engaged.
yeah.
When the students used to go on field trips, we had to learn how to do virtual field trips.
Virtual field trips.
Hmm.
Okay,
Virtual field
explain
trips.
that. Oh my lord.
Okay,
Oh,
where like the museums. After a while, the museums and a lot of places had things online, so you could
online
go
stuff.
on
Yeah, I know the
and
libraries went online a few.
yes, so
Yes.
you could do that thanks to YouTube.
Oh boy.
And
Yeah.
National Geographic, you could actually take them on a safari in Africa or take
Okay.
them to the Bronx Zoo virtually. So, even though those were challenges, but we learned from those things. And those, I think, when I'm dying for the day when everything goes back to normal, that,
Yeah. Praying for
the
that
whole
day. Yeah.
teaching process will be so different. And also, the kids, even though they, from as soon as they can are conscious of their environment, every
Hmm.
child can manipulate a cell phone.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Every baby you see. So
Oh yes. A
so
phone.
yeah, they can send text messages, they can play video games, but in terms of doing practical stuff on the computer, there was a big lacking. But with
Mm.
this remote learning, they have learned how to do a number of things for themselves, other than just going to different websites and do. But it enhanced their technological skills. And last thing before I turn back to you,
Yeah.
when Joe President Biden was inaugurated, the young lady Amanda Gorman, who gave that wonderful poem, "The Human
Yes.
Design,"
Yes. I
hmm
follow her.
yes,
Yes.
So our students were challenged to look at that poem, break it up into pieces, and it was remarkable to
Hmm.
see. Probably next time if I come on, I'll share a couple of them with you.
Yes.
They had to do
You're
PowerPoint
welcome
presentation.
back, Jan.
They did PowerPoint presentation. They interpreted what she was saying, and the hill, try to define what she was. Wonderful, wonderful piece of assignment those kids did using that poem that young lady did. So,
See, they just need a push
push, yeah.
sometimes, and somebody like you is very thoughtful and passionate.
Hmm.
They, because I know it's not everybody like you,
No. Mm-mm.
right? So this, most time it's just that that's what they need, a little extra attention, and
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
let them feel, wanted, and so they becomes motivated, and even most times I know you might have like give them a sense of them being rewarded in a certain
Hmm.
way. Say
Hmm.
if you've done good today, most likely you could get an early break or something
Hmm.
like that. Have you done that?
Yes, and what the school did, sometimes they have these little funds where they would give Zell them something or cash out them
Oh,
something,
wonderful.
because they even did like we have General Assembly on Zoom on the
Yeah.
different platforms, and they would make their presentation, and they look forward to it.
Oh, wow.
Kids even did gym on remote learning.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know. I started to I did the song, that this very popular song, Jerusalem.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Mhm.
You gotta see your brother, man. Trying to do
The Jerusalem challenge.
4 taps to the left, 5 to the right, turn around. Oh, you know your brother could dance, right?
Huh?
You know he could dance, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
He was a part of a dance group. You knew, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, yes, he was.
yeah.
But he's like now he said he won't even shake his leg if he go in public. He won't even shake his leg. Yeah, he said those days are over. Alrighty,
It's not over until it's all over.
I know, right? Yeah. So do you school they teach the STEM program? Do they
Hmm.
participate in that, the STEM program?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So, all right, let me see. And so we dealt with the students, teacher. So how do you for you guys as teachers, how do like come together, the meeting and all of that still over Zoom,
Yeah, yes, we do.
and the
And,
principal and stuff?
and I tell you, we have more meetings during COVID time than regular time.
Oh, wow.
Because remember, you had a staff meeting, somebody probably would have something to do, or somebody
Yeah.
would have somewhere to go. Now, everybody's home, so you have to tune in.
Yeah. All righty. So let us recap a bit. So the time is about to come to close. So next
Already?
so yes, we have 45 minutes. It's 6:40. So anything you want to leave us with, that any teachers or parents listening, that any takeaway you want to nuggets you want to leave next 2 minutes or so?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, as always, parents should always encourage parents to believe in their children and encourage the children to believe in themselves,
Yeah.
and that they can achieve their full potential
Potential.
if
Yes.
they will put, you know, head
Yeah.
and shoulder together, take the challenges that they are faced with by the horn. I always tell my kids also that
Hmm.
people will define you based on based on what they see. But the moment you open your mouth to speak, then they'll realize that. this is not the person who I presume or
Right.
assume that person was. So
Mm.
with the challenges that they face now with COVID-19, and um, most people say we're at the end, hopefully that we're at the end of it. A lot of lessons to be learned that I've learned from it, that, you know, a lot of the kids learn to work independently.
Yes.
Independent learning came out because they never had friends here and there, even though they had the telephone, could call one another, but they realized that the assignment had to be done by themselves. So many
Yeah.
of them were able to develop their own identity,
Yeah.
even though
Question.
some
Yeah.
people got lost.
Yeah. One question. Were you? Were they able to form like teams and to
But
work in
kids,
teams? Yeah. Was that a
yes, we had different platforms where kids were able to perform in teams.
okay?
Yes.
All right. So that could make a big difference to when they work work with teams, working
Hmm.
teams. All right. They
Yeah.
could alleviate some of the challenges and
Yeah, you'd be
problems that
surprised the number of platforms that were developed during the last 2 years,
yeah.
that they could do a song and all five of them are in the same
Yes.
song. Yes, they did at the
Exactly.
same time.
Yes. All right. So we have to start think differently,
Hmm.
and be
Hmm.
innovative as to our approach in
Hmm.
this new world, right?
Yes.
And we're about to face because no matter what the paradigms, we're going to see adjust a lot of adjustment, especially, we don't know when we're gonna come back to normalcy. So
Hmm.
we're gonna see a lot of adjustment and it's like trying to do stuff all over again, like redoing stuff. Right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
We're used to the virtual platforms and situation, and uh, the normalcy. we're we're gonna have to like relearn certain things.
Yes, yes, yes.
Relearn because even myself, I'm not a teacher. I'm not out there work from home,
Hmm.
and it's like the things that I do now. Even when you go to the grocery store, you have to give the groceries a bath when you take them home.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's so different.
Everything is
But
different.
yeah, Ian, I do thank you for coming on for being my special guest today.
Appreciate it.
And you're welcome anytime. Anytime you're
Okay.
free, have any special topics you want to share with the crowd again. All right, feel free to get in touch with me, and
Sure.
we make it happen. We on every Friday at 6 p.m. on the positiveradio.com show, and it's 106.9. You ought to check us out. All right.
Okay, will do.
Yes. All right. So
Okay.
take care and bye.
Okay, same to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so there you have it, my guest, Leon, an educator for over 20 years. I know him a long time. And of course, we'll have get some good takeaways from the situation we're now facing in the world, which is this pandemic and teaching and doing everything else remotely. So we are not to take for granted whatever is going on out there. We just be careful and work with what we get and be grateful. Love each other, embrace everybody, celebrate everybody. For me, I try to learn something new every day. Okay. And I thank you, Auntie Donna, for this platform to bring forth some good information. And it's all for free. So tune in, everybody, at 106.9 positiveradio.com. And of course, let me show you the lippies that I'm using. We have some lippies. You can go to the positivelips.com and my lippies. Let me show you the ones that I'm using today. I'm using this one here, the gold, and it's confident. The name of it is the confident, the gold confident. And of course, I have my other Angelo, Mr. Empowered. This is my husband, Mr. Empowered. Actually, it's like a lip gloss. It's not a lipstick, it's a lip gloss, but I bought two actually. And I stole one for myself. I kept one for myself and he's using the other one. Okay, so go to positivelips.com and pick up yours. Okay, good night everybody.